everybody, Melissa Sorrentino here. Want to talk with a quick tidbit about basics in improv, okay? I think this is going to come up a bit more often. I want to talk about buying into the basics. That's what I'm going to call it. Buying into the basics. I think that sounds good. I recommend buying into the basics. And I want to open with something that's a little Christian, so bear with me. It's kind of like when Jesus came, if you're into the New Testament, if not, whatever, just listen to it as a parable, or like as an analogy. But, when Jesus came, he sort of left like 2 commandments, and he said something like, love the Lord like that God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and then love your neighbor as you love yourself. And he was basically like, those are the 2 commandments that I leave you with. The rest you can basically chuck. That's just, in a nutshell. But it's like as if those 2 commandments actually inherently contain all the rest of them. Because if you're acting in love, you're not going to covet thy neighbor's wife. If you're acting in love, you won't do X, Y, or Z. So this is kind of, I know that's a little bit like highfalutin for improv, but I believe in improv, you guys. The basic of improv is getting along and making things happen and moving forward and propelling ourselves to proactive action. So that being the overall umbrella concept of improv, these very, very basic kind of rules that were initially, I don't even want to say invented. I like to say discovered. Like, what's working? Oh, it's when this. What's working? Oh, it's when that, right? So for me, one basic that I want to just tackle in this very short back to basics, value the basics, whatever the hell, what did I say? Buying into the basics. This is the basic. Questions. There's a reason why it tends to be better to not ask questions in improv, but rather to answer the questions. That's the way that I teach about questions. It's not some arbitrary notion that somebody was like, I don't like questions, so don't ask questions. Or I want to find things that I can, throw a flag down and whistle and say, flag on the play, you asked a question, you're out. This is an art form, you guys. This is not something that is, imposed upon us. And if we're clever enough, we can figure out and finagle exceptions to the rules. I understand, even Wayne Dyer, one of the things that he said often was that people are resistant to being told what to do. So from the moment I say, hey, don't ask questions in a scene, there is inherently a human thing that's going to come up in you that goes, what do you mean I can't ask questions? There's got to be situations where I'm going to have to ask questions. Are you cornering me into a world where I don't get to ask questions anymore? If I think about it, I'm going to be able to think of plenty of scenarios and scenes where a question is just fine, where it'll work just fine. You kind of know what I mean anyway. Defense, defense, defense. I say, let that defense go and buy into it. Basic reason why, just straight up. If I ask a question in the scene, I'm causing my scene partner to have to come up with information instead of me doing it. And that's just plumb lazy. If I want to say, hey, but you're only 13 years old, you can't pilot this jet plane. That is preferable as far as I'm propelling information forward for the sake of the scene than if I say, how old are you again? Or aren't you 13? And then they could say, oh, no, actually, I'm 25. I just look 13. Because my idea was you're too young to fly this jet plane, right? That was my idea. And instead of taking that idea and throwing it like a long fucking pass, I just decided to look at the ball and go, I'm not really sure what the play is on this. What do you think? So play. Questions stop forward motion. Questions stop forward motion. Answers to questions propel forward motion. The end. Thank you for stopping by to learn this bon mot du improv. Bye.